This episode is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, the #1 seller of games and gaming accessories. And GatheringMagic.com, the #1 resource for Magic the Gathering news and articles.
Hey, this is Ben. This is my Memnarch EDH Commander deck. Alright, it's my Commander Memnarch, and he's pretty much there just to steal people's stuff. Occasionally he gets in there beating on people, but it's usually turn everything into artifacts, or use stuff that's already turned into artifacts, and then start taking problem permanents, and then eventually everything. I'm getting lands. I have 25 basic islands. They're all from Mirrodin and block ones. You get the workshop, let you power out a lot of the better artifacts quick. You want the mana, you know, let you put out soul rings. And you can go this first turn soul ring into a solvent right off the bat, and it's awesome. Cycling land, strip mine, deal with problem lands. Same with Dust Bowl, let you get rid of more problem lands. Academy Ruins, it's recursion for all my artifacts. I run a lot of them. A lot of them are sack artifacts. Oboro, it's basically there in case somebody goes to board, wipe all my lands, and I can return it to my land and actually have a land to recover with. See, it's good to tutor up with like Tezzeret or something like that. Reliquary Tower, because I can draw tons of cards. Minamo. Occasionally I like to untap something, some of my legendary permanents. Buried Ruin is just more artifact recursion. Phyrexian core, gain a little life, but it's more used with Spine of Ish Shah. Lets you keep recurve permanent. Tolaria West, usually I use it to just tutor up more lands, utility lands and stuff, but occasionally I've had to use it for its blue. Citadel's pretty much just like Sighted, see to sin all but indestructible. Now we get in my creatures. Start off Thada Adel. She's Island Walk, so she gets in there a lot. Stealing artifacts is more on theme, and yeah, she's blue, so it's good. Mulldrifter, double, he's card draw most of the time, but sometimes I do use him for his 2/2 body. Trinket Mage, tutor. Draining Well, he's one of my counter spells, and usually you counter something big and get a big beater out of him. And Grand Architect, he pumps up all my blue guys, makes everything else blue, and lets me use the things like Trinket Mage and stuff for mana excel after they've done their primary purpose. Guard Gamazoa, it's another one that's good with the Grand Architect, because he can be cellaring or he can hide behind a lot of stuff. There's a lot of like invasion dragons and stuff in my meta, so I like using him a lot. Treasure Mage, he's just Trinket Mage's brother. Archaeomancer, I don't run a lot of blue spells. Well, I mean, instants or sorceries, but the ones I do, I like to get back to reuse a lot. So, Wheelbender, he's amazing. I mean, he's the only morph I run, so he's pretty telegraphed, but people still forget about him all the time. Bounce a door, to, you know, effect of a door to nothingness or something like that. It's awesome. Voidstalker, he's something new I'm trying. I haven't got to shuffle a commander away yet, but I've shuffled a few problem creatures away, so it's done good so far, and he comes down early enough he can start putting a few damage in. Where are my artifact creatures now? Duplicate, he's removal. He's great to bounce back to my hand and stuff, use his effect over and over. Metamorph, he's whatever creature I need, or any of my artifacts that I need. Scarecrow, she's great recursion with all my artifact creatures, and in a pinch I can sack or draw a card if I had to. Myr Retriever, he's more recursion. When he dies, he's good with Skull Clamp. Shimmer Myr gives all my guys, all my artifacts flash, and that's great in this deck. Solemn, he's, you know, just a staple. Master Transmuter, She's one of the more powerful cards with this deck. I have a lot of come into play effect artifacts, a lot of expensive ones. So she can save herself or any creature on the board and just put them right back into play. Or, you know, getting something going with like Spine of Ish Shah and Solemn, just swapping them back and forth, that's great. Karn, he's good with, well, a lot of things like Spine of Ish Shah, another one I keep talking about. He turns into a 7-beater, he keeps coming back, or with Mycosynth Lattice, which is coming up, it can blow up any amount of lands. Kuldotha Forgemaster, he's a tinker effect, and it seems pricey, but when you sack things like Solemn or some lands you didn't need to go get Darksteel Forge or something more busted for the deck, it's great. Spellskite protects all those artifacts you got. There's Spine of Ish Shah, it's one of my Vindicates. It's recurable, so it's great too. Darksteel Forge, it is one of the cornerstones because all my guys get indestructible. And the deck's kind of slow, but whenever this comes out, everything kind of stops. You know, all their guys got to have trample to get over most of my guys. Mycosynth Lattice, everything I got's an artifact in, and it's all indestructible with this. And sometimes it helps other players out, but usually by the time I actually use it, I'm going to use it the broken way. So, Temple Bell, I like drawing cards. It's good with Tezzeret, so I can draw 2 if I have to. And I don't mind giving other players cards. Rings of Bright Earth. It's probably one of the more broken cards I've seen in any deck. I don't think I've ever seen it used fairly. Copying effects like with Mindslaver and stuff. That's it's one of my favorite cards. Crystal Ball. I don't think it gets enough love in EDH, so I'm kind of using it in Protest over Top at the moment, but Top's going in. It's a Shackles. It's a form of creature removal, basically. In my artifact form, it lets me, and it's on theme, it's stealing cards, so it's another one I enjoy using. Mindslaver, it steals our whole turn, so, and I mean, you can recur a lot with this deck, but I always play a multiplayer, so you get hated out pretty quick if you start doing that. O-Stone, just if you have to wipe the board. Unwinding Clock, I got a lot of artifact acceleration, lets me swing in with my artifact guys, and then just untap. Skull Clamp, I don't have a ton of creatures, but there's a lot. They're all small, so they can be skull clamped. Crystal Shard, almost all my creatures have inner battle ability, so that's great. Now it's artifact acceleration. I like Everflowing Chalice. It can be pumped a lot, real quick. You can actually use the multi-kicker with Mishra's Workshop. It's part of the effect, so you can, 2 lands on turn 2. They'll come out 2 counters, so it's pretty good. Soul Ring. Gilded Lotus, it's really great with Tezzeret. This deck uses a lot of mana, so. Mox Diamond, it's another one I want to excel early, so. Darksteel Ingot, good if somebody goes to blow up all my artifacts, and that happens a lot, so gives me something to recover with. Mind Stone lets me excel early and draw that card later on when it's worthless. Mana Crypt, it's another early mana excel. Now we get to my tutors. I got Mystical Tutor, which gets me my important Sorcerer's Instance that I need later on. I have Reshape, which lets me take an artifact that I don't need anymore and turn into one that's important. Fabricate, just go get any artifact I need. Now some card draw. I got Blue Sun Zenith. I can get a lot of mana, so drawing lots of spells is good. Effect or Fiction. In my group, everybody always does a 5-0 split, so it's the best card draw in the game. Thirst for Knowledge. It's another great instant card draw. It digs you 3 deep and always got an artifact pitch. Deep Analysis is another good one. It 4 cards for 1, so that's great. Recurring Insight. It's a draw whatever they got and then do it again. I like having a lot of cards in my hand, so that comes in helpful. Ponder, it helps smooth your land early on. If you just got 2 and you open it with a Ponder, it's usually worth keeping because it'll get you there a little quicker. Spinning the Myth, one of my target removal. It helps me get rid of commanders usually, but sometimes something big comes at me and I have to get rid of it too. Evacuations is one of my sweepers. I like to use this when somebody swings a whole lot at me. And, I have used it to save other players before, but usually it's just for myself. All is Dust is actually great in this deck. Most of my stuff's colorless, so they all stick around from all it does. This is my counters. Trick Bind. Yeah, it's used for stop any of those activator trigger abilities. It's really tiresome. Cryptic Command, one of my favorite counters, and I find myself using it less as a counter and more as to save myself from creatures bouncing or tapping their guys down. Mana Drain, another good one. I use this mostly to excel. I'll use it early for a 3 or 4 drop to counter that to get me to my turn 7 or 8 play real quick. Spell Crumple, another great counter. Force of Will. I hardcast this a lot because there's not a ton of blue in here, but in a pinch I do pitch a card if I have to. Karn, he's quickly becoming the most broken planeswalker I use, mostly because just keep vindicating permanents or getting rid of people's hands. If you bump him up right off the bat, he's hard to deal with without an O-ring or something. And if you ever go ultimate with him, if the table don't give up, they're so far behind, it's not real. There's Little Jace. I like Little Jace, so I use him. The incremental advantage on him, a lot of people overlook it. So you just, let everybody draw a card, and then you can start drawing them, and then do it again, and everybody pretty much leaves you alone, and they don't realize they got so far behind. Tezzeret's tutor, win condition. He would be the commander if I could use him. And I got 2 enchantments, Future Sight, kind of like card draw. And Training Ground lets Tezzeret use it. Memnarch use his abilities a lot cheaper, so it's in there too. Thanks for watching CMDR decks. Please subscribe and favorite.